Welcome to Point Blank, where we check out the latest social issues and burning questions, and you are invited to chat with us. And right now on our minds are foreign workers this evening. That's because, well, some residents, in particular those in Serangoon Gardens, have been upset about the prospect of foreign workers living in a nearby former school.
I'm Lyn. Before we go into detail, let's first look at why foreign workers and housing them properly is important.
Currently, there are 577,000 foreign workers in Singapore. They work in sectors such as manufacturing, marine and construction. The number has been growing and will continue on an upward trend. In view of this, the Ministry of National Development has released 11 new dormitory sites, which will provide 65,000 bed spaces by 2010. In the meantime, foreign workers will be living in transitional dormitories. One option is the former Serangoon Gardens Technical School. Last week, the possibility of 1,000 foreign workers moving into their community sparked off a furor among the residents of Serangoon Gardens. The result, a petition against the proposal. More than 1,600 signatures were garnered from the 4,000 households living in the immediate vicinity of the school. Safety and cleanliness are just two concerns that residents have, and they may be valid. But are these the only reasons against such transitional living quarters for the foreign workers?
Okay, to share the views on foreign worker housing, we want to call a couple of people to join us. We have with us Serangoon Gardens resident Mohan Das. Hello. And we have Leanne Teo, who is going to be a resident at Serangoon Gardens in November. Right. And on my right, we have Patrick. He's not a resident in Serangoon Gardens, but he has some interesting viewpoints to share. And we have Wee Chong, who is currently experiencing some concerns with foreign workers living in the area.
So, well, we've looked at the video just now about specific to Serangoon Gardens. I'm sure everyone has got some ideas on the topic, which is why we're all here tonight. So, what are your... Firstly, what's your most immediate thought when we talk about foreign workers living in a residential area, your residential area? Any takers?
Yeah,
Mr. Mohan, you look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, sure. First of all, we should not generalize this issue at a national level, because there is a separate issue at the national level. As far as Serangoon Gardens is concerned, it should be treated as an isolated issue that should be dealt and resolved. Don't make it into a national issue. That's the first thing I would.
When you say they, who do you mean? They should not generalize. Who do you mean?
No, generally, I see a lot of articles appearing everywhere, But they start to use words like prejudice.
Okay.
They start to use words like middle class. Do they really know the definition of these things?
Okay. So, Patrick, do you agree with what Mohan Das says so far?
Well, not really, because I think whether it's in Serangoon Gardens or whether it's in Toa Payoh or where I stay in Bedok, it's always going to be a local issue, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So that's what I'm saying. You must find a solution that fits our setup. Okay. Number one, when you say prejudice, that's not correct. It is not a prejudice at all. It's simply a difference in the expectations of the civic manners, civic living conditions, and so on. It is nothing to do with prejudice. Prejudice is a very big word. You cannot use that.
And some of the critics that have been heard on this issue would say that is the expectations you're talking about would be higher expectations, and therefore, harbors some prejudice, innate prejudice in it, hidden, whether stated or unstated assumptions, or even fears regarding the topic.
No. You see, do you want somebody to get raped before you take action?
Okay.
We are raising issues like that. That's all. In fact, the Serangoon Garden residents, the reaction was not strong. The views were strong. The reaction was normal.
Okay, so Leanne, do you agree with him? Because you're moving in and you're hearing what he has to say.
And in fact, you're going to be really close by to,
we heard,
to Mohan.
Yeah, obviously, after this issue erupted, and people who knew us and knew moving there, that's the first reaction. Oh dear, Well, I think I do share some aspect of, I do understand some aspect of what Mohandas is trying to express, which is that Serangoon Gardens is a odd area in that it is very old, so it is confined by certain infrastructure problems. When we bought into that area as well, a lot of people said, look, traffic is a nightmare going into Serangoon. Are you sure you want to spend 20 minutes queuing up with the rest of the chom crowd? And we talked about it and we discussed, and we felt the Serangoon Gardens has a very strong community atmosphere. A lot of the residents there have been there 20, 30 years, grew up there, second, third generation Serangoon Gardens residents. So my concern was that the infrastructure can't handle the number of foreign workers in the area, because a lot of Serangoon Gardens roads, not a lot, but a fair number are one-way traffic. Also, you will notice that the roads are very narrow, and it is actually a bunch of parallel roads are bordered by one single road which runs in a particular direction. Yep. So there will be, we perceive, there will be a lot of congestion problems. And not only that particular boundary area, but if, in fact, access to Serangoon Garden is also limited by Lorong Chuan.
Yeah. Why have you brought up the issue of traffic in this respect?
Because, well, I suppose at present most foreign workers would be picked up to be brought to wherever they work at. Yep. So, lorries and cars and vans and whatnot would have to pick them from wherever they are. I don't know. I mean, I'm not familiar enough. I don't know whether do they go there themselves? Like, do they take a bus there? I mean, I don't know. But I've often seen foreign workers on some mode of transport, probably provided by their agent or their. So
your concern is that it will cause add to the traffic congestion.
Yes, that and also the infrastructure is. I mean, the buses. You come into Serangoon Gardens. There's a circle in the middle. There's always buses. There's queues of cars. So buses will be overloaded. The hawker centers are full. I just think that. Well, the basic reaction, the initial reaction is just that it might not be able to sustain this number of people in terms of traffic, in terms of eating places, in terms of parking cars, in terms of even waste. The amount of rubbish that 5,000 people produce and 6,000 people. It's quite different. So. Will there be more cleaners? Will there be more police to attend to their needs?
You're talking a lot about infrastructure and logistics, but the thing is, now that this issue is brewing, do the other things like security, safety, cleanliness, are they topmost in your mind, or are they still behind all the traffic jams and all?
Well, I understand some of the concerns of the people. I mean, I've been reading up on the net, Citizen Online and all this stuff, some very strong emotions about this, even from people who are not living in the area. A lot of expletives, on the little blogs. But I mean, I understand what they're trying to say, but I think the issue here is not foreign workers behave this way and foreign workers are dirty, or they will seek opportunity to harass women, or that's not the issue. I think one thing that he mentioned earlier on before the program was it's the sheer size. I mean, like I said, I've been around foreign workers who live down the road. There are 10, 15 of them. I don't think that's a problem, but when you have a large group of people congregating in a particular area, sometimes the mindset changes. It's, as I mentioned to Lyn earlier today, when you see a group of foreigner expats, let's say. I mean, what I'm trying to do is identify groups of people who have something in common and become an entity in itself. So, for example, a bunch of friends out at Boat Quay, 40 of them, they tend to get rowdy. They tend to be boisterous. They tend to, throw cigarette butts. Where if it was one or two of them, they might not behave in the same manner. And that applies to everyone, regardless of color or race. I mean, school kids can do it. 100 school kids are just...
So your concern is not whether they're foreign workers or not, but you're talking about huge numbers.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if it was an estate of condominiums built near your apartment and 5,000 people moved into those condominiums, would you say that, it's the same large number of people?
No, actually the difference is it's not only a large number of people. These people are slightly different. When I say they're different from Singaporeans, I'm not saying it in a prejudiced manner. I've been a foreigner too. I migrated overseas. I'm back here for work. But I understand when you're away, it's different. I mean, I don't know whether any of you, or you probably know friends who work overseas on their own without their families. And your mindset is very different. You're a foreigner in a different country. People treat you differently. Certain frustrations build up. I mean, the workers who are here, they're away from their loved ones. They're lonely. I mean, we're all human beings. We all have needs. We all have emotions. So when, things build up at work, they get frustrated. They don't have an outlet. They got no hobby. They just go from work to the dormitory. So their mindset is very different from comparing it to Singaporean, or comparing it even to expatriate families, because they come here to work, but they go home, they have their house, they have their loved ones, their children. These people come here for a purpose, which is to earn money to send home. They have to put up with deplorable conditions at work, at their living places, and certain frustrations can build up. And when you put them in close proximity to other people who have a different viewpoint, sometimes there's friction because one party can't understand the other. And then when you have a large group of them together, they reinforce each other's feeling. Like, one might say, hey, I met this guy who was really rude to me today on the street. Yeah, I did too. And then it just festers because they're in a different situation from expatriates. I mean, some people in the write-up said, oh, foreigners, Ang Mo's coming. And
Okay,
they stay
so
through
ultimately,
but that's different.
Would you have bought the place if you had known that transitional dormitories may have been built there? I mean, you bought it before you knew about all of this, so all that concern with traffic, but if you had known,
But
would
that's
you
not a
have
fair
gone for it?
question to
I
ask.
think I still would have.
That's not a fair question to ask. No, that's a personal decision.
Which could have been affected or not.
$500,000, $1 million decision you don't make like that.
Yeah, but you do consider the environment.
Of course, you would have
do
considered it, but that
consider
would not
the
have
issues around
deterred her
that.
from deciding.
I
That's
think
what I'm
also
saying, yeah.
what you just said, transitional. I think that makes a difference because,
Gives a bit of comfort.
I mean, obviously when you buy a home, it's a long-term decision, and this is only a
Yeah.
temporary
It will
dormitory.
be there for about a year or
Yeah,
two.
so
Yep.
I mean, in terms of whether I bought there or not, it probably, 99% would not have affected my decision.
So you would have gone ahead to buy
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay. But what about you, Richong? Because you guys moved into a new estate, and then you found out in June that this thing was taking place. So how did you feel about that when it happened?
Well, I think it's inevitable. I mean, they bought the place for investment, and the company wasn't doing so well, so naturally they will put their plans on hold. I agree with Leanne. I think I would still have bought the place simply because, we look for investment, we look for a place that, what we look for is for a long-term period. And I still would have bought that place. What I'm pretty upset is that, the government or relevant authorities or even the people who employ them should have taken necessary steps to ensure that, they behave properly, give them proper advice, and, advise them that, if they were to come into our community or to come into our culture, they should learn to behave likewise, and not bring all sorts of different behavior in. We bought that place probably about a year and a half ago, and there were some foreigners living there. And like Leanne said, it was a small handful of Indian foreign workers. It's about, I think, 10 of them. And they behave pretty well. It's okay. We have no problem, issues, or anything with them. And then they started to come in loads of, 40, 50, and now we have close to about 200 foreign workers working down there. And I've experienced everything. We have Chinese workers, we have Vietnamese workers, and we have Indian workers. And they are all the same. I mean, once they have a big group of people, they start to behave differently. I mean, the Indians start to get drunk, they sleep on the floor.
At this point in time to him. You're right, absolutely right, because what we call herd mentality,
Yep.
something builds up. One recent example you can see what happened in Dubai. A large community of Indian, Bangladeshi, Pakistani workers, when they were mistreated or ill-treated and they couldn't go out, stricter than here. See what happened? They went on a rampage. Why? When you have a large number of people living in a confined space, it's almost like recreation of their homeland. In terms of culture, in terms of reaction, in terms of everything. That's not human behavior, please.
Can I interject? But that was because they were ill-treated. I think if we treat them nicely, provide them with proper housing.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that it will not create. What I'm saying is that a community like that, if it wants to burst out, it doesn't take very long. Just a small issue.
I don't think it's bursting out. I mean, we are not expecting them to go onto a protest or go into a riot.
The behavior pattern
big,
changes.
It's the small.
That's human nature.
It's all the small little things that gets to you. I mean, for us,
I think it will be the small things. You're right. I mean, like I'm just thinking, and I mentioned to Lyn earlier on the phone. It was that it's that. Well, if you are on your own, and I know that most of them, if there are 3 or 4 foreign workers together, whatever nationality they are. I mean, okay, let's not talk about foreign workers. Let's talk about Singaporeans. Okay. If there are 3 or 4 Singaporeans together walking, you want a litter, you know it's against the law, but you think, better not. Somebody might see me. Yeah. Now, if you were with your like a company function, there's 200 people, and you're walking in the midst of it. Generally, not everybody. I mean, some people they're more civic-minded. They just won't do it no matter what. But the person who may not have done it if he was in a group of 3 will do it in a group of 200.
Agreed.
Because there's a loss of self. There's a loss of individualism that you just become one of the horde of them. So small things like what I'm thinking is what will happen is when you put such a large group in such close proximity to residents, and residents have whatever concerns that they have, then, for example, littering might increase because there's more of them and they think, I'm not going to really bother about my cup, I'll just leave it. And then the residents will get agitated, and then the friction will start because they'll scowl and give them looks, and then they'll get frustrated, and just animosity will build up, even though it starts from a very small thing. But that's because there isn't enough social pressure. I mean, it's not their fault. I spent a lot of time in India. I mean, they are 100 times more respectful to our country here than they are to their own country. I mean, it's incredibly dirty where they come from. So for them to understand that, you can't do this is already very good. I mean, I think they're trying, but it's not easy. Where they come from.
I mean, I sympathize with them. I understand that they're here, they work hard, they earn very poor salary, they have deplorable conditions. I sympathize with them, honestly. I just think that when you're in that condition, as we are in the situation right now, you tend to see things differently because you see the impact of it. You look at the result, and when you look at the result, you really don't have time to analyze why it happens. I mean, a house, usually have a family, and a family usually has less than 10 people. But when you put 40 foreign workers, 60 foreign workers inside, I mean, even if they don't litter, rubbish bin will fill up in a single day.
So you were actually okay with the situation when there was a small group of them there?
Yep.
They were...
That's exactly my words to
right.
my MP. Yeah. Don't think in 4-digit terms. Think in 2-digit terms.
Well, what you guys have brought up are a couple of things. You're talking about groupthink. You're talking about the formation of a community. And you guys I get the general feel that you are hit by the immediacy of your problem in terms of it's in your residential area. But we wonder what other Singaporeans feel about this same matter. Well, Razor TV hits the streets to find out their thoughts and generally how they feel towards foreign workers.
1,000 over residents at Serangoon Gardens signed a petition to say they don't want a foreign workers dormitory, right? Okay, if you were a resident there, would you be concerned?
That actually doesn't bother me much.
But what do you think about them moving into your backyard?
Fine, as long they needs to follow the law. Don't be so petty. To me, I think, if you want to look into this a bit a bit, start complaining. That is very common for Singaporean.
If you were staying in that area, would you be concerned?
Yes, of course I would be concerned.
Why?
Well, who likes to be, unnecessary, cause disturbance to, the quiet environment and all that, Not that foreigners are noisy, but definitely if so many of them together, it's bound to have an effect.
What kind of effect?
Disturbance of peace, I suppose, maybe other inconveniences. People are very concerned about conveniences.
The question of concern will always be there, but I think I'll just take normal precautions. Yeah.
Are you worried about your safety or other issues?
I think it's not a matter of whether it's foreign workers or not. We should always be concerned about safety, whether it's foreign workers or other normal people. So you just keep on the lookout. I think the thing that's bugging everybody is just the stereotype of foreign workers. Yeah.
What is the stereotype of foreign workers?
They always be involved in crimes kind of thing. This kind of stereotype.
Of course, I'll be concerned. I mean, foreign workers, and they may actually come into our life and maybe disrupt our social graces or our peaceful environment. But on the flip side, some of them may actually, we are all humans, so I believe some of them are actually, they're not that bad. So I'll keep my options open. If because of that and certain problems arises, then of course I'll go ahead with the petition.
How about foreign talents? How about the white-collar ones? So are you worried if they stay in our community?
No, I think they're already in our community. They're everywhere. So white collars wise, it's okay because they have a certain educational level. And not to discriminate the other foreign workers, but if you have a certain educational level, then you can actually interact with us better.
If foreign talents are known to people, they put Singapore on the map. Unlike foreign workers, we don't really see them on the papers often.
So the Ministry of National Development actually suggests that we should have a township where the people are self-contained in an area. What do you think of that?
They are not prisoners. That's all I can tell. All right? They are coming here for a decent job, to get a decent living, to make their living here. So don't put them as second-class citizens. I mean, they come here to work. You think without them, you think Singaporeans actually wants to work this kind of job? No way.
I'm sure they will be happy to have one too, right? Huh? You'll be like home to them.
They have facilities for them where they can have some recreation because they are also human beings.
Of course, they will be good and bad. I mean, the community by themselves, then they will feel at ease and all. But if they're in Singapore, I think that they should try to come into our culture and, stay with us and interact with us. That's how we have a more harmonious society, I believe.
Well, integration or separation seems like views are mixed on the streets as well. But we'll be right back with more on the issue of foreign workers living in our midst after the break.